Alright, as most of you know, the Twilight books have been out for a while, and now they're coming out with the movies, and all the dopey girls and their moms are going to see it. I thought maybe there's some of you out there that might be curious as to what the story is in these books, but you didn't want to read them, and I can't blame you for that. Here's how I ended up reading those books, and I'll tell you a nice synopsis in my own words of what happens in the books. So anyway, I didn't have anything to read. I like to read. My sister's like, "Oh, I have this book that I think you'll really like." And me not paying much attention to what's going on in pop culture today and everything, I was like, "Okay, what is it?" She's like, "Oh, it's this book called Twilight." And I'm like, "What's that about?" She's like, "It's about vampires and werewolves and stuff." And I was like, "Well, I don't know." She's like, "It's really good. I'm sure you'll like it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I start reading it, and I'm like, what's the point of them being vampires if they don't have any of the stuff that vampires are supposed to have, and they're fucking fruits? Like, sunlight, it doesn't kill them. It makes them sparkle. They sparkle in the sunlight. Ooh! Faggy. They also don't have fangs. When have you ever had vampires that don't have fucking fangs? This is retarded. This is tried and true shit. This dumb Mormon bitch that wrote these books didn't want to... I guess she wanted the vampires to be nicer or something. They are fast and stronger than normal people, but that's about it. And they also drink blood. But anyway, the main vampire, Edward, and his family of other fucking faggy douchebag vampires, they don't drink human blood. They're vegetarians, which means that they drink animal blood. Good stuff, huh? So anyway, my sister told me all about this stuff before I started reading it, or about how they didn't have these powers and stuff. It was like, what the fuck good is it to be a vampire if you don't have any of the vampire shit? She's like, "Oh, just read it, it'll be good." So I start reading it, and I'm like, okay, it's this girl named Bella. She moves to a new town. She doesn't know anybody. Then she meets this boy at school who's creepy looking and pale and everything, and every time he gets close to her, he starts acting like he starts pulling away from her, like he's afraid of her or something, or he doesn't like her, which in my book means that he's gay. But in this book, it just means that apparently her blood smells so good to him that he can't control himself, and he doesn't want to kill her. So anyway, she doesn't know he's a vampire. She finds out eventually, of course, and her reaction, instead of saying, "I'm getting the fuck away from this freak," is, "That's okay, I still love you." So they form this super codependent relationship, which is also a mega pedophilia relationship, because he's like 100 years old and she's 17. So that's a bit of an age difference there. My sister and my mom argue with me about it and say, "Yeah, but he's 17. And I was like, how do you figure that? He turned vampire when he was 17. I was like, so fucking what? It doesn't matter how old your body is. He's 100 years old. So anyway, this is an argument that no man should ever have to have. So I'm saving you guys the trouble by describing it to you. So he's a pedophile vampire, and of course he doesn't have sex with her because he's afraid of Chris Hansen and the Dateline people. Well, no, not really. It's because, I guess, the good old Mormon values of the writer and the no sex before marriage bullshit. But he's like, "I don't want to hurt you. If we had sex, I might lose control and hurt you." She's like, "I don't care. I want to fuck anyway because I'm a skank." So, yeah, that goes on for a while. So the whole build-up and then non-finish, non-climax in the first book, these other vampires show up that are bad guy vampires that actually do what vampires are supposed to do and drink people's blood. Apparently also in these books you can't drink people's blood without killing them, which I don't really understand either. There's a whole lot of plot holes and like build-ups to nothing happening in these fucking shitty books. So at the end of the first one, the bad guy vampire kidnaps Bella, and Edward has to go find her. So you're like, alright, well at the end when he finally finds out where he's holding her, he's going to kill the guy. But no, he doesn't. Here's what happens. The bad guy vampire, who's like a hunter or something, decides to hunt Bella and kidnaps her, blah blah blah. Takes her to like some fucking abandoned building. Edward somehow finds out where she is, And he gets there, and instead of fighting the other vampire, or having some kind of payoff to reading this couple of 100 pages of dog shit romance bullcrap, so instead of having a payoff with a fight with the other vampire at the end, he runs over to Bella, who's injured because the bad guy vampire, like, broke her arm or something and broke her ribs or some shit by smacking her around because she's a dumb bitch and she deserved it. But anyway, Edward runs over to her side while his family does all the dirty work, so he's over there going, "Are you okay?" And in the background, the bad vampire's getting ripped apart and killed by all his family members, because God forbid the supposed hero of the book actually get his hands dirty. So, oh yeah, in these books also, the only way to kill a vampire, do you put a stake through their heart? No. Do you just put them in the sun? No. You have to rip up their body into pieces and then burn the pieces. That's the only way to kill them. So they're ripping the guy apart and burning his body in the background. And of course they don't tell you anything about that, because why would any chicks want to read about that shit? So the first book ends with Edward staying in the hospital with her while she's recuperating and thinking, "Oh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you." And she's like, "It's okay." And then so she goes through all this danger and shit and almost dies. And he's alright with it, I guess. Oh, another thing about these vampires is a lot of them have special extra abilities, which is fucking gay and retarded, I guess, to make up for the fact that they're not real vampires who can do other vampire shit. They like Edward can read people's minds, but he can't read Bella's mind, which is why he's so attracted to her. It's mysterious. It turns out that none of the vampire's special abilities work on her, because she's too dull and stupid, I guess. She doesn't have the necessary parts of her brain that would make her susceptible to these things. So that's the end of the first book. Second book, let's see. Near the beginning of the book, Bella's having her 18th birthday, I think. I can't remember everything. I read through all these books once, mainly because my sister wanted to talk to me about them. And after I read the first one, I was like, I might as well read the other ones. Dad and I'm a flaming homosexual. So, in the second book, Bella has her 18th birthday. She gets a paper cut, and one of Edward's family members there freaks out and tries to kill her, because he sees blood and he can't control himself because he's such a blood fiend, I guess. He's so tough. They rush her out of the house. And then a while later, Edward shows up and he tells Bella, "I don't love you anymore. I'm gonna leave you now." She's like, "What?" They formed this like mega codependent relationship. I can understand why they depend on each other so much, and they can't live without each other because, you know, they've been together for like a month or whatever it is in this stupid book. So he ditches her in like the middle of the